presumably because you're Johnny Depp, like I read a story about, was it because you were coming from Lima to Miami, I think, when you were stopped at customs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And if you hadn't been Johnny Depp, they probably wouldn't have stopped you, would they?
Well, it's kind of an interesting route, anyway. Lima, Peru to Miami.
It does sound like a drug run.
They're already expecting things, and I did have some things. And, yeah, there was a kind of a soft bag, and the customs guy said, would you mind opening this up? And I said, he said first, what is in there? I said, stuffed piranhas. I'm sorry? Stuffed piranhas and some vampire bats. Unzipped, and then there just happened to be some sort of vitamin powder that I was taking at the time.
Yes,
I mean,
Johnny.
in all seriousness. Otherwise, I'd still be in jail. And when I unzipped it, poof, you know. And there were these piranhas and bats covered in white powder. It was
Why did you have piranhas and bats? Never mind the cocaine, right? Sorry, why did you have piranhas and bats?
Well, it was important to have them.
Yeah, of course.
I had to bring them home.
Yeah.
But the guy thought he'd found the mother lode, you know.
You must have been so excited.
Oh, God, it was...
Oh.
After that.
Two-hander.
He didn't go through with it, just so you know.
Oh, right.
No,
So how did you say?
I'm still a virgin. Oh, I was a virgin until Ricky...
Do you say that's vitamin powder, don't worry about it, and he believed you? Is that real? They really do
did
that?
not believe me, no.
No, right. So what did they do?
Everybody came out with guns and things like that.
And you
Wow.
Put me up against the wall.
But did you put a knife in your... and go up the rigging to get away from it? That's what I'd have done.
I was auditioning for the first X-Men. My passport was expiring under 6 months, which apparently you're not supposed to travel, blah, blah, blah. So they were like, whatever you do, don't tell them that you're here for work, because they'll ask for a work visa. Say you're here for pleasure. And I'm like, oh, my good God. I have to lie to a customs officer. And so I'm working myself up so much through the line. I'm like, OK, I just have to have a backstory. I got a backstory, and I have to believe it. And so it gets there, and he was like, business or pleasure? And I was like, pleasure? What are you doing for pleasure? My brother's getting married. And he's like, where's he getting married? Wimbledon. Is he American? Yes. Do you have an invitation? No. Are you telling the truth? No. No. I'm here for work, and I don't have a work visa, and my passport expires, and I'm not even supposed to be here. And then I had to sit in a tiny little jail for like 5 hours while they called my employer. I felt tiny.
Because Ryan, what was the thing you were recognised? Was it a honeymoon couple on a plane?
There were yeah, there's a couple that they were on a honeymoon, and the plane hadn't yet taken off, and the woman who had just gotten married just became violently and horribly ill on the plane. I mean, it was not like a pretty little, like, sick bag kind of thing. It was just like, I'm going to paint with my organs. Like, it was just crazy. And people were freaking out all over the plane, so they brought a stretcher down, and they put her on the stretcher, and they're wheeling her away, and, like, her new husband is just kind of cruising along with the thing, and he sees me, and he's like, Deadpool! No way! High five! And I'm like, what has she got? Like, what's happening? I don't wanna, like, he's like, let's touch eyeballs. No, like, and by the way, your wife is like half dead. Help her, man.
That's my first pilot that I flew with. His name was Bozo. And, yeah.
Gives you confidence.
Yes, yeah. So I was like, hi, how are you? Bozo. Bozo. Okay. And we were up there. We had 5 minutes of film. And we had to turn, we had to coordinate, he and I, and we had other airplanes coming in on us. And there was air combat maneuvers, and we very detailed briefings and everything. So we're going out, and we're just right, I don't know, a couple feet off the deck in the desert. And we're just sweating. I'm sweating in the F-14. And because we were doing heavy maneuvers. And we did a really heavy maneuver, pulled like 9.5 Gs, and you go out, you got a G suit on, but you just kind of black out. And when I came through, it's like I had my barf bag right here, my side of the thing. I was like, okay, so now I'm gonna go get it done so I can do the next take. So I leaned down like this, pulled it out, I was like, just went down like this, and he at that point decided to pull up. And pulled up so hard and for so long. I mean, I can't do it now. My head literally was touching the ground with the G-force at my spine. And the push to talk was right here. I was going like this, going, Bozo, Bozo. And it's like, you know, I mean, he was going up forever. So finally he leveled off, and I had the bag in my hand. I was like, I said, Bozo. Didn't you see? You get a check. You didn't tell me you were going to do that. My head was like, what? He says, yeah, they don't call me Bozo for nothing.
You got to spend time here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, is it correct? Do we need to apologise? Were we not that welcoming to you?
No. No, most people are so welcoming.
But
Customs agents, not so much. I'm sure customs is a pain for everybody, right? It's a little bit of like, I got somewhere to be. No, you guys love it? Perfect.
they live here. It's quite easy to get in. You just walk through.
I'm in the line of 1800 waiting. No, I went up to, when she was shooting, I was shooting something in Montreal, so I flew back to see the kids and my wife. I remember going through customs, everything was fine, and then 1 week just got unlucky, and there was a guy about my age, seemed a bit grumpy, and he said, let me see. And he said, yeah, you an actor? And I said, yeah. He goes, what do I know you from? And I said, I don't know if you'd know. I mean, we did the American version of your British Office. Strike one.
Yeah.
Oh. I love that show. The UK version. I was like, I get it. And then he said, who are you visiting? I said, my wife. And he said, is she an actress? And I said, yeah. He said, would I know her? I said, I don't know. And he said, what's her name? And I said, Emily Blunt, as he was writing something. And he went, you? You. I went, yeah, and he goes, all right, get out of here.
Because the May family have been to Paris,
I know
haven't
where
you?
you're going with this.
I
yes.
love this story. This is so Irish.
We camped all over the world. My parents would we had this giant, big orange tent that slept 7 of us. My mum had a little stove. My dad never got the tent up the way it was shaped on the box. And I remember we woke up to massive... it was crazy and noisy, and my dad was getting dragged out by the gendarme, by the police. And there was whistles going, and my mum was saying, get your hands off him, and we were starting to cry. My mum had her little stove out doing breakfast, and my dad was saying, yous are very uptight altogether. And he was dragging them out, and apparently you're not allowed to camp underneath the Eiffel Tower.
I was asked to go to America to do cookery demonstrations.
Yes.
And I'm very particular at getting everything right. And I also try to look ahead. So I thought I ought to have my recipes, all the ingredients weighed out in case the plane is late or in case the connections aren't right.
You understand
I can go
what's coming.
straight on stage to do my presentation, cookery demonstration. Yeah. And so I weighed out each recipe in little bags, and I had the flour and the sugar and everything grouped together so that I could lift it out for the first recipe and so on.
Cut 2. It was the sniffer dogs. This was my favourite bit.
And when we arrived, there were dogs, and I love dogs, and I was, just ready to go and say... and they all, 3 of them came up with their noses sort of like this, and they were, I thought, oh, come along. But they didn't want to know me. They just began, and then suddenly the airport became empty, and there were just uniformed people. And I was with Lucy Young, my assistant. They parted us, Lucy there, me there, into 2 cells.
Mary Berry in a cell with a selection of packets containing white powder.
And, you see, I didn't know whether their all-purpose flour was, the same as our flour. That's why I've taken it.
Yes.
This is why I love her.
Yes.
Because this is why Mary's made, because she wanted to make the greatest cakes possible, so I had it already. And is it true? This is my fate. I was just incredulous. They were like, we need you back on set. I was like, somebody else is going to have to do it. And didn't he turn to you and say, ma'am, are you expecting to make some money from these white packets? And you said...
Oh, I do, and my fee has already been agreed.